All right, I'm going to let everybody in the chat know we are turning on the video. So press play if you haven't already. So we are now broadcasting this week's webinar. So hi everyone, I am Josh Ledgard, co-founder of Kickoff Labs. Kickoff Labs, if you didn't know, is a tool that helps everybody with lead generation through landing pages and opt-in forms with the added boost of viral factor. So that means that if you get, instead of 100 leads with our system, you get 135 if you turn on the sharing and use it appropriately. We've seen that 100 leads turn into 200 pretty easily for a lot of our customers, and you'll hear about that through today's webinar. Before we get started in today's webinar, a little bit of housekeeping. If you're hearing my voice, then yes, you figured out how to play the video. If not, I think I just reminded everybody in the chat to press play on the video. Number two, you are attending our webinar on 2014 Marketing Lessons Learned. We'll teach you what worked for us and our customers in 2014 to get more leads. If you are expecting something else, then you are in the wrong place. Number three, we hold these sessions live for a reason. As you can see today, if you're on the chat, there's a nice intimate audience is how I would describe it. But we want these to be interactive, so we'll take breaks for questions and we'll do our best to answer them live on the spot. So for the people that are here, since it's a nice crowd, take a second, introduce yourself and your business on the chat, so we can get to know one another a little bit more. So for example, I'm Josh Ledgard, co-founder of Kickoff Labs. I like baseball, big dogs, and successful marketing experiments. With me today is Izzy Palmerin. Say hi, Izzy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm glad that we do have some people joining us, and look like we're gonna have a great webinar today. And we have our teacher that's gonna be showing us all the lessons learned for the year of 2014. Thanks, Josh.
Yep. All right. So now it's your turn. Go ahead in the chat. Tell us about your business and what kind of big questions you have about that you'd love us to answer live. And we'll give you a shout out in the webinar. So we'll also be taking questions as we go. That said, let me get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so everybody can see the slides. All right, so everybody here should be able to see the slides now in the video. Like I said, today's lesson is Marketing Lessons Learned in 2014. We've already been introduced as Josh and Izzy, and moving directly into the content. So the first thing that I want to point out to folks is the first big lesson we learned, and we started doing this before 2013. But we really started trying to improve it and drive it home over the last year. So is that marketing automation works. And what that means for basically everybody who wants to know what marketing automation is basically an automated marketing campaign. So in our case, we do two separate things. We have a product class, which some of you may have taken, called Landing Pages 107, that sends out a series of emails. And if you sign up for it, you'll get 10 emails on how to improve your landing pages and your conversion rates. That's one bit of marketing automation. They're timed every day or so after you start receiving them. And throughout that, we sprinkle some advertisements about how you could use Kickoff Labs to do that better. We also use marketing automation for the new customer lifecycle. So if you sign up for a Kickoff Labs account, you'll see you'll get an email about taking your first step. After you take your first step, within a day you'll get an email about, hey, here's your second step you should take with the product. Haven't done it yet? You'll get another email that says, hey, how come you didn't do the second step? Here's the next thing you should probably be doing in the product. And we do that, and we do that by way of what's called segmentation. And so this was a big change we did in our marketing automation. So you'll see different content depending upon from us, depending upon where you are in your usage of the product, the customer lifecycle of using Kickoff Labs. And then you'll also see different content, whether you qualify yourself as somebody who's a startup, somebody who works in marketing for an existing company, or somebody who is an agency that does marketing for others. And you can imagine knowing that information up front helps us better target, send you better content, or you could send your customers better content if you ask that simple segmentation question, and then also improves our conversion rate. So when I say segmentation, doing this improved our qualified leads through marketing automation by 25%. What I mean is when we started breaking down our audience and saying there's a startup audience, a marketing audience, and an agency audience, and we started breaking down where people were in the product lifecycle of using the product, we saw an increase in people that would go through our cycle of using the product and upgrade by 25%. That's a huge boost to any business looking to get there. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but once you set it up, it can be fire and forget, and you just improve. You just go ahead and you try and improve the email subject lines, the content, the calls to action within the email as you go. And so tools we used for that, back slide. We use Kickoff Labs, obviously, to generate opt-ins for our class and our content. We use a tool called GetDrip, and we did a webinar with them a couple weeks ago for scheduling these automated messages that go out. And we use a tool called MailChimp for sending segmented newsletters, depending upon what audience you're in, whether you've signed up for our chats, whether you've not signed up for chats, whether you're just a product user. And so those are the three basic tools that we use for marketing automation at Kickoff Labs. So we generate the opt-in with our own tools because that's what we specialize in. We use Drip for the automated messages, and we use MailChimp for sending out the newsletters. So this was a big boost for our business in the last year, and anybody can use it. If you're a startup, you can use it for onboarding. You could also use it for distributing content. If you've got 5 popular blog posts, turn those into an email series, and it can work for you. The next one, doing good A/B testing is hard. Everybody reads these case studies where you say, oh, I ran an A/B test and increased conversions by 50% by changing the button color to orange. And the reality is it's not that simple. Most of the time, a good A/B test involves getting a good amount of traffic first so you can have good results of your test. And then it involves coming up with a test that's worth doing, meaning that most of the time you don't see improvements from changing colors on the page. You see improvements from changing big things like your headline or your hero image on the landing page. So what we used over the last year, Kickoff Labs for A/B testing on our landing pages for things like this webinar. If you signed up for this webinar, you got an A/B test run on you. We've also used third-party tools, Visual Website Optimizer and Optimizely to test A/Bs, to run A/B tests on our click-throughs. But the three big things, the three big mistakes that we've made and we see other people make is first, testing without much traffic. You need a certain amount of traffic so that the test can be statistically relevant. The second is we've run lots of tests waiting and hoping to see improvements with enough traffic and not seeing them, and that just tells me we needed to be dumping that test and testing something else. And when I say dumping that test, it means you're testing two things that are fairly equivalent. And if you're testing two things that are fairly equivalent, you're not going to be improving your conversion rate. Use your gut, pick which one you think is the best, and move on from there. Izzy, did you learn anything else from running and managing a lot of our A/B tests over the year?
Yes, actually, I definitely did. I would imagine that you're seeing my screen as well. Yeah, I mean, pretty much that improvements don't happen right away. I mean, Josh was actually mentioning that it's not always a case where you're going to be running one test and boom, there's like a 30 or like a 50% increase in your conversion rate. It's just not going to happen. So, I mean, you might get that result. I mean, we've had tests where we do have a pretty astonishing result at the end, and obviously we're going to keep, we'll keep the winning variation and we'll switch to that. But it's about running tests, and it's about asking your team for some design feedback. You kind of want to talk to your customers, talk to your team. Don't be the only one that's actually coming up with the A/B testing ideas, because you really want to get feedback from other sources. That's pretty much my biggest advice.
Cool. So get feedback from other sources and make sure that you're running the test long enough to know whether or not it's you've got a winner, or that it's time to give up on the test. But once you're not seeing an improvement, you should absolutely leverage your team and get another idea for your test. The next thing is we've seen a ton of success and successful case studies with the viral boost within Kickoff Labs. And so what that means is you get this person to sign up, he's over here on the left, and you encourage them and incentivize them, and the incentive part is key, so having the great incentive to share with their friends, and they will. And I've seen it over and over again in Kickoff Labs campaigns. And here's just an example from a campaign that saw that running within Kickoff Labs saw almost a 57% conversion rate on their landing page, which is if you look at average conversion rates on landing page, is exceptionally good, and that 86% of their leads, almost 87% of their leads, are coming from this referral mechanism. So that means that for every $1 they're putting in to drive people to the page and sign up, they're getting roughly $1.86 worth of return out of that. And so they're not just getting their $1 back; they're getting this boost, which can work wonders for you, as in the case of this next example. So we had a customer, and I believe we'll be doing a webinar with them soon, where they launched their product and their e-commerce site virally for comfortable boxers. It's kind of probably hard to read the reward text there, but they ran it with this referral campaign where it said how many, depending upon how many referrals you get 1, 2, or 3 pairs of free comfortable boxers. The founder of the company emailed me before they had officially launched the campaign and said, dude, we're trending in Canada and we didn't launch the page yet. And he showed me the trending in Canada tweet on screenshot from Twitter of people clicking share because they wanted their free boxers. In that one weekend, they got 25,000 leads in the weekend because of people sharing with the incentive. In 3 weeks, they were closer to 40,000 leads as they went through and started to push it. And then if they kept pushing on it, they would have seen more and more throughout the time. Switching gears a little bit, everybody knows it's been a story for a long time that content marketing is key. I'd say, if anything, we doubled down on that this year because content marketing still works. And I mean all sorts of content marketing, content like this webinar, content like blogs, creating something that's useful for customers. And you're seeing this in even traditional advertising. I hear radio and TV ads now that are much more about education than they are about pitching the product. Because people realize that to use products, customers need to be well educated about how to use them so they get the most out of it. Some things that we did. So just to notice here, we increased our own traffic by 56% year over year using content marketing. Increased our leads by roughly that 60% year over year with our content pulls. Couple of the easy wins that we did having some existing content is you can see the article on the left-hand side. Click it and it goes to the next slide. Article on the left-hand side for finding the ultimate guide to finding the perfect background image for your landing page. This had always been one of our top blog posts, but we hadn't really done much to it. It was kind of a short post. We went and spruced it up. So we found the top content. we improved upon it. So we made the content even richer than it was before. And we didn't, republish it as a new post. We actually just left the old post there with the improvements, and we started driving some traffic towards the new post. We put it in our marketing automation, a link to it. We started leveraging that top content more. If you look at your top 10 pieces of content and then say, how could I get even more out of those top 10 pieces of content? It's probably an easier win for you than generating a new top 10 list of content. And so that was one of the strategies we took in the last year that's worked really well, is finding content that was already working and then amplifying that content more. Then on the other side, on the right-hand side, you can see the headline that says 15 landing page reviews, real conversion advice on what works and what doesn't work. This was the other lesson, which was, hey, our product is about landing pages and opt-in forms. We're going to focus the content there. So we probably have at least 10 or 15 blog posts now that are sort of like this. We found what works and we 10x'd it, I guess, and sent them to 11 and really increased our spread on Google of people coming for that kind of content, because we're looking at where we really wanted to focus our content and just started cranking out posts and content that related to that. So the two big things in content marketing here in terms of content generation was, one, maybe not generating new content, finding the content that is already working for you and improving it and amplifying it more. And the second part is finding what content you really want to be pushing because it relates to your product, and really push on that content that people like and use that's related to your product. I mentioned this thing about education. We've got one of our goals has been with our content is to create win-win learning opportunities. And what I mean by a win-win learning opportunity is a chance for you to educate the customer so they get a win, and then you get a win because the content is branded, because you generated a new lead, because they shared the content. Just an opportunity for everybody to win. Whereas traditional advertising is typically you kind of lose because you spend a lot of money on it, and the customer kind of loses because you're trying to interrupt their day and you're giving them something that they don't want. And so our goal with our advertising has always been to try and be as educational as possible and to create these win-win learning opportunities. So in the last year, we started running these webinars. So about every other webinar roughly that we do is for reviewing landing pages live. So what we do is we set up an opt-in form with Kickoff Labs. We try and now we're working on getting guest reviewers. So this is actually the opt-in form for next week's webinar, which is live landing page reviews with Mike Tabor of Single Founder and Startups for the Rest of Us fame. And we typically get not just people signing up for the webinar, but submissions on landing pages. And we get 20 to 30 landing page submissions per week. We keep this up as an evergreen thing now, so instead of just doing it on an irregular basis, we are always collecting landing pages that we want to review. And we'll pick the best ones. We'll pick some of the ones from our customers, some of the best ones that we see, and we'll review them at the next review date. So right now the next review date is next February, and we're going to go through during the webinar and review people's landing pages. The other win-win for us that this creates is that because our product is about landing pages, people are submitting landing pages both that have been created with our product that they want to improve, and landing pages that have been created with competitors' products. And what I love about that is it's a great way for us as a business owner to see what's going on in the landscape in general without spending over amount of time spying on the competition. Through these reviews, we get to see trends, we get to see what people are looking for, we get to see the questions that people are asking. It's another win-win. So we're getting that market education, and the customers are getting a review of their page based on what we keep learning and what we see with conversion rates. And so it's been big for us. Every time we do one of these webinars, I can always see our sign-up spike. And so I encourage people to think about the same thing, is how they can interact and engage with customers and create these win-win learning opportunities in the next year. Content creation and reuse. We're not a huge company. We don't have a ton of resources, and my guess is that that if you're watching this, you fall into a similar category. So what I like to do is take this webinar content and keep reusing it. So I love doing these live. I love working, having a crowd. I love seeing, hearing reactions and questions that we have for these reviews and for our educational webinars like this one. But then, what can we do to reuse that content? Well, one, we have a recap page that's out there where people opt in to view the recap. We have, and then we'll also generally produce a blog post out of each of these webinars as well. So if it was a decent webinar that we wanted to really promote, we'll take it, we'll break apart the slides, we'll do a companion blog post that goes more in depth with links to the tools, more tips and tricks, things that we covered, and we're thinking about running, thinking about the transcripts that we can generate as well. So we do this once, we do the prep for it, but instead of just having the impact of the people that attended today, this webinar will have impact on our business throughout the next year, because it'll be getting new opt-ins for our chats through the recap page, and we'll also be getting opt-ins from our blog page, powered by Kickoff Labs, and we'll also have that SEO hit out there with the blog post that's there. So the tools that we're using, for these webinars, Kickoff Labs obviously to generate the opt-ins in our webinar pages, our sign-up pages, our viewing pages that you're on right now, and our recap pages. MailChimp to send the reminders before the webinar. So if you're attending, hopefully you got a reminder beforehand. And Google Hangouts, we're going real simple. We've just using Google Hangouts and YouTube to record and then display the video afterwards. So don't think about a webinar and say, oh man, there's only a few people that are going to attend. And that's true, especially if you're just getting started out, or if you pick a day that's a bad day, or it's just it's for whatever reason there's not as many people attending. Think about it as you're producing content that you can reuse throughout the year, and how do you produce that evergreen content throughout the year? And that's how we approach the webinars, is thinking about them from how we can keep reusing that content over and over again. All right, so producing content, I'm still on the content marketing side of things. The content amplification became pay to play. So it used to be, if you had a Facebook page or some people to post to Facebook and you had a good piece of content, you would share it and you'd get equal opportunity viewing time on Twitter and Facebook. Well, the Twitter stream that people have nearly double the followers on average now, nearly double the amount of people they're following that they have now, double the amount of tweets going through the stream. So the Twitter stream is super crowded. Content is only up there for a couple minutes in a feed. And Facebook, their algorithm, basically after going public, Facebook said, pay us if you're a business and you want people to see your content. And that's very true. So we saw organic Facebook reach decline significantly, but as soon as you start paying for that amplification in Facebook, you start to see the returns again. And so it's as with any good channel, there is a time when everything is free and you get big wins, and there's a period of time where everybody's looking to take a cut, and Facebook started taking a cut this year. And the way we played in that space that's worked really well for us and for our customers is to use retargeting. So rather than targeting random people on Facebook, which we haven't had as much success with, we decided just to advertise our content to people that had visited our website. So people that came to our website once, they probably didn't sign up. Maybe they didn't do anything, but at least I know that they had an interest in what we did in our market. In some way, we started using a tool called Perfect Audience to manage these ads. So then if you visited our site and then you went to Facebook or you went around the web, you'd start seeing ads like this one saying, hey, check out our content on these online marketing trends. It's relatively cheap to do this kind of retargeting, and people then opt in from our content. They either opt into signing up for our product, or they use one of our opt-in widgets that are on the page. It becomes a great source of leads for us. We found that people don't necessarily take well, or at least maybe we're just not the best at creating the direct ads of say, hey, come sign up directly. It seems to work much better to get people in the door, a foot in the door, saying, here's something useful to you. Oh, by the way, while you're here, did you know we have a product that makes this really simple? And so that seems to work really well for folks. And also, I'll mention that this works really well. Retargeting works really well for landing pages now. So people, you set up a landing page, a campaign, a contest. People might not sign up right away, even if you're getting a 20% conversion rate. There's 80% of the people that didn't sign up right away. You could be advertising them, saying, "Hey, it looked like you were interested. Can you now, you might be interested in this content, or you might now also be interested in signing up, even though you didn't before." And that works really well for landing pages for our customers. We're constantly improving the way we do lead capture. And so, trying to pull people in with that automated content that I mentioned in the beginning. You'll see there's an exit intent widget on our page. Kickoff Labs will have this is the beta of our exit intent widget. We'll have one that anybody can use shortly. But we are powering this form on our page where it pops down and says, hey, sign up now. It's free. You get your landing page 107 lesson. And compared to doing just an opt-in box on the page that popped up from the bottom, it's a 30% relative incremental improvement over our previous lead capture mechanism. And again, that's sort of like retargeting. Hey, you seem like you're interested in our product. Maybe you don't want to sign up for the product, but are you interested in this useful content? I tell people all the time, people ask me about AdWords, and AdWords is the ultimate piece, but there's still a huge, free as in sweat equity set of ways you can participate out there and get leads back to your business. So Quora, for example, a question and answer resource community out there, works really well for us. And so it was in the last year our #1 referral source on the internet. So if you take away organic search and SEO and you look at just referrals from other websites, it was the #1 referral source. Generated $47,000 in new revenue in 2014 for us. And for the most part, there wasn't that much participation. You can see, the activity on this screenshot from my profile. I've posted 271 answers. That's all time. That's not just in the last year. It's not even an answer a day. If it was 1 year, it's more like probably less than an answer a week I post to Quora. So I just always I look for the most interesting related question, and I post an answer with a link back to some of our content that helps answer it. So again, that's reusing and leveraging our existing content. So in this case, the person said, hey, what's wrong with my landing page? I gave them some tips. I linked back to our webinar where we review landing pages and say, hey, you can check out these tips. You can get your page reviewed live in person at this resource. They appreciate the answer. Other people see it. It works as a great advertisement and a way to pull people back into your pipeline. So now, let's see. And all of this culminates in saying there's really never one source. For any campaign and for any business, your goal is almost primarily about generating more touches with a customer, where you've heard the old adage that says you need to make 7 impressions before somebody's convinced to make a sale. That's generally true. So nearly 50% of people that converted to us had experienced multiple ones of our tracked campaigns. And so that's just tracked, things that we add a tracking link to. That's not to say we don't necessarily track if somebody comes organic and then they land on a page and they come back organic again and then they hit a campaign. that the number would be a lot higher. But 50% of our customers in the last year experienced multiple touches before they decided to sign up. And so one of your goals should be for 2015, how do we generate these additional touches with our customers? Is it a contest? Is it something that drives engagement? Is it a referral campaign? Is it great content that pulls people in? Is it a downloadable PDF with a landing page? All sorts of ways to generate touches with the customers. Do not neglect a list of opt-ins you have. Keep them warm, keep sending them great stuff, and they'll reward you. But also think about what are all the different ways that you could touch people, like besides email. Could you leverage a social network? Could you leverage, could you improve your SEO? It's all of these things added together that make a bigger difference than just focusing on just one. We've made the mistake in the past of saying, looking at our AdWords, for example, and saying, well, it's profitable to run AdWords, but maybe not that profitable if you just look at the last place people clicked before they upgraded. But then if you expand it and say, was AdWords profitable? Now let's look at all of the people that interacted with us after they experienced AdWords, maybe didn't sign up right away, but then came back and viewed 3 pieces of content, clicked on one of our other marketing campaigns, saw a retargeted advertisement, got those 7 touches, and then decided to sign up after their friend posted a link on Twitter. You might say, oh, that person upgraded because of Twitter, but the reality is that was just the last thing they touched about our product. The first thing they saw was the AdWords. It just kind of gets buried sometimes when you look at this, and so Google has a great way of looking at assisted conversions with Google Analytics. So thinking about how you can look at that data and say, hey, what's generating these assisted conversions, right? So conversions of people that are that saw multiple campaigns. What are the number one with the assists throughout the campaign? The last thing is the old mantra of always be selling. I view it as always be converting. I'm always working. Izzy's always working for our product to say to find new sources of leads and converting them into customers. Just finding the lead doesn't work. You need to find the lead and convert them into a paying customer. And then even when customers leave and they haven't bought anything from a while from your e-commerce site, and you say, oh, they gave up on us, they're not going to shop here anymore, or you're a SaaS business and they quit, I'm always asking them, hey, why haven't you been back? Why haven't you used your pages? Why did you quit using our product? If nothing else, I get education, but I've reconverted an awful lot of customers just by reaching out, and they'll say, well, I couldn't quite figure out how to do X. And I say, well, how about you get a free month and I'll do X for you. And it generally doesn't cost us much, and we convert somebody back again to a customer. And so that would be the biggest last lesson I would leave, is just focus on always converting throughout the customer experience. That said, I'm going to try and convert you guys. So try Kickoff Labs risk-free today and start building smarter marketing campaigns. So you notice the subtle mention of Kickoff Labs on all of those slides where we talked about the tools that were used. We use Kickoff Labs to power our opt-in forms, our exit intent widget, our webinar pages, our webinar display pages, and our recap pages out there. We love the product. We know that you will love the product, and we come with A/B testing. We come with automatic email replies. Lots of things. Our focus is on making your campaign smarter, not just letting you spend time tweaking your landing page endlessly. Because the reality is, all of those tweaks don't matter. What matters is the great content, the intelligent campaign that you come up with, and seeing the numbers and having the tools to make it matter more, like the viral boost and the demographic data you'll learn with Kickoff Labs about your customers. The last thing I'll leave you with is exit this. Next week's webinar. So next week we are going to be reviewing landing pages. We do this on a regular basis, so this URL is always good. Grow.kickofflabs.com/live. That is our evergreen webinar. The next one is February 12th. The next one after that will probably be later in February, where we will have guest reviewer Mike Tabor next week from Startups for the Rest of Us, co-host of MicroConf, single founder, founder of Moon River Software, and author of the Single Founder Handbook, is going to be helping us to review your landing page. So go opt in, say, hey, my first name is, the page you'd like us to review, and leave your email address, and we'll look at your page and give you some feedback and tear apart your page during one of these live webinars. We've gotten a lot of feedback from people that have been through it. We've had people come back multiple times to get new feedback because they've improved their page the first time and they come back a second time, and it works out really well. It's a lot of fun if you're willing to take the scrutiny. And that said, I'll leave a second to see if anybody has any questions in the chat. So I'll give it a second. Any last questions as we wrap up for the day? Izzy, while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions, is there anything you'd like to add? Things that I missed out, things that that you felt like you learned in the last year that that people could leverage from, could learn from?
Well, there's a lot that you went over. Pretty much, just reinforcing that you should always be looking for ways to generate new traffic. You should always be looking for ways to convert new customers and to improve your business. I mean, just constantly asking for that feedback from your customers, from your team, from your family, even friends and family. They're always good for just general advice, and in the words of Josh, just always be converting.
All right, thanks, Izzy. Like I said, I'll leave you with the invite to next week's webinar. I thank everyone for that joined us live. I thank everybody that took the time to watch the recap. Feel free to send us feedback at Kickoff Labs on Twitter, support@kickofflabs.com, or josh@kickofflabs.com if you want to send me direct feedback on the webinar, the content, everything you've seen here. Like I said, go ahead and give Kickoff Labs a try and let us know what you think. Thanks. Bye.